Look around, and you'll notice that our modern world has a very specific definition of what a healthy relationship looks like. We are told that love should be loud. That connection means constant enthusiasm, immediate responses, and explosive physical affection. If you prefer the company of a creature who sits quietly on a windowsill, watching the world with half-closed eyes, society has historically been pretty quick to judge you. We all know the tropes: the eccentric loner, the aloof intellectual, the quintessential crazy cat lady. But as a psychologist, I need to tell you something crucial. Those stereotypes, they were never actually about cats. They were born out of a cultural anxiety, a profound discomfort with people who don't perform their emotional lives out loud. Welcome to the actual, scientifically backed psychology of the cat person. And spoiler alert, has absolutely nothing to do with being antisocial. If you naturally gravitate toward cats, your preference is actually a psychological fingerprint. It tells us an incredibly detailed story about how your nervous system is wired, how you process stimuli, and how you define emotional safety. Let's talk about personality. When psychologists measure the Big Five traits, cat lovers consistently map out a very specific psychological terrain. First, they tend to score exceptionally high in openness to experience. Now, in a textbook, openness translates to curiosity and a rich imagination. But in the real world, it means your brain doesn't accept the simplest, loudest answers. You are comfortable dwelling in the gray areas. You appreciate nuance. You don't need an animal, or a person, for that matter, to blindly worship you. You appreciate a mind of its own. On the flip side, cat people generally score lower on the extraversion scale. And this is exactly where the world misunderstands you. Introversion is not a lack of social skill. It is an energy economy. For you, engaging with a chaotic, loud, and demanding world is a massive withdrawal from your emotional bank account. You might also score slightly higher in what we call neuroticism, but let's rebrand that word. It's not instability. It is hypersensitivity. You're a human radar detector. You pick up on the slightest shift in a room's temperature, a subtle change in someone's tone of voice, the hum of the refrigerator. Your nervous system is finely tuned, and because of that, it gets easily overwhelmed. This is where the magic of the feline enters the picture. Dogs, as wonderful as they are external regulators. They regulate our emotions through high energy, kinetic movement, and direct, unavoidable engagement. Cats are internal regulators. They offer a completely different biological prescription: stillness, predictability, the glorious absence of pressure. When a cat walks into a room, it doesn't demand that you match its energy. It simply occupies space alongside you. For a human nervous system that spends all day hypervigilant, anticipating emails, managing other people's moods, masking its own exhaustion, this is pure relief. You don't have to entertain a cat. You just get to exist. And then there is the purr. This isn't just a cute sound. It is an evolutionary hack. A cat's purr vibrates at a low, steady frequency, typically between 25 and 140 Hz. Physiologically, when you hear and feel that rhythm, your brain receives a primal signal that the environment is safe. Your heart rate actually slows down. Your blood pressure drops. Cortisol, the stress hormone, retreats. It is co-regulation without the heavy tax of human conversation. Let's take a step further into the shadows of your psyche. To truly understand this dynamic, we have to look at how you were shaped before you even had a say in the matter. In clinical psychology, we talk constantly about attachment. For many highly sensitive people, especially those who had to learn how to self-regulate at a very young age, human intimacy is complicated. If you grew up in an environment where you had to constantly raid the room, where you had to manage other people's unpredictable moods, or where affection always came with conditions, your nervous system learned a very specific lesson. It learned that connection is exhausting. It learned that to be loved, you have to perform. You have to be on. This is the hidden, heavy burden of the hyper-observant adult. You are so used to carrying the emotional temperature of a room that true vulnerability can feel like a threat. For you, offering care is manageable, it's safe, but receiving care, letting someone else in, that can trigger an absolute system overload. And this is the profound, quiet miracle of the cat. A cat allows you to experience deep, nurturing closeness without the vulnerability hangover. They allow you to step into the role of a caretaker without demanding that you surrender your autonomy. Think about it. Cat doesn't stare into your eyes and ask, "Are you mad at me? Why are you being so quiet today?" They do not monitor your emotional output to validate their own existence. Instead, they offer what developmental psychologists call parallel play. You might recognize this concept from childhood. It's when two toddlers play happily side by side, entirely engrossed in their own worlds, yet deeply comforted by the shared presence of the other. As adults, society conditions us to abandon parallel play. We are taught that healthy relationship requires constant eye contact, continuous conversation, and active, exhausting engagement. But your cat brings you back to that primal, stress-free state. You sit on the couch answering emails or reading a book. They sit on the armchair, grooming themselves. You are together. You are deeply bonded. But there is zero energetic cost. This is not emotional detachment. It is emotional efficiency. And in our hyper-connected modern era, this preference is practically a form of rebellion. We live in a culture obsessed with visibility and access. If you aren't broadcasting your life, if you aren't instantly reachable via text, if you aren't loud and demonstrative, society quickly labels you as withdrawn or antisocial. Modern life equates your volume with your value, but you know better. You intuitively understand that the absence of constant expression isn't an absence of feeling. It is intentional regulation. When you choose to spend an evening in the quiet company of your feline roommate, rather than in a crowded, overstimulating environment, you aren't hiding from the world. You are actively curating your life to protect your peace. You are choosing a sanctuary where you don't have to translate your complex inner world into a language that a noisy society can easily digest. As we reach the bottom of this psychological deep dive, I want to offer you a completely different lens through which to view your relationship with your cat. Because ultimately, the animal you choose to share your most private life with is rarely just a pet. It is a mirror. Think about the traits you admire most in your feline companion. Their independence, their unapologetic boundaries, the way they can walk into a room, survey the noise and the chaos, and simply decide to go sleep in a sunbeam instead of getting involved. When you look at a cat and think, I respect that, you are subconsciously validating those exact same needs within yourself. Every time you allow your cat to walk away, when they've had enough petting, every time you honor their silent, physical, no, you are practicing the very boundary setting that you, as a highly sensitive person, desperately crave from the human world. You are giving them the grace that you wish society would give you. We live in an era that feels like it's constantly accelerating. The digital notifications never stop. The expectation to perform, to produce, and to relentlessly engage is deafening. In this landscape, true silence is becoming a luxury. Stillness is practically a lost art. But inside your home, the rules are different. When you lock the door behind you and hear the soft, rhythmic padding of paws on the floorboards, the demands of the outside world dissolve. There is a profound, almost sacred, mutual agreement between you and your cat. The contract is remarkably simple. You protect them from the harshness of the physical world. You provide safety, warmth, and sustenance. And in return, they protect you from the harshness of the psychological world. They anchor you. They offer a living, breathing reminder that you do not have to earn your right to exist by being useful, or entertaining, or loud. You can just be. So, let the world keep its stereotypes. Let society cling to the outdated myth of the cold, antisocial loner. They simply don't have the psychological vocabulary to understand the beauty of what you experience. You are not hiding. You are preserving. You are a guardian of the quiet. To love a cat is to understand that the most profound connections are often the ones that require the fewest words. It is the deep, cellular knowledge that love does not need to be a performance to be real. It doesn't need to bark or jump or relentlessly demand your attention to prove its loyalty. Sometimes, the absolute truest expression of love is simply choosing to stay in the same room, a quiet presence in the dark, a slow, intentional blink from across the sofa, a steady, rumbling purr that tells your nervous system, I am here. We are safe. You can rest now. If you've made it this far, I know this exploration didn't just speak to your intellect. It spoke directly to your nervous system. If you felt a sense of relief today, a sense of finally being seen and understood for who you truly are, please know that there is a whole community of us out here. Subscribe to the channel to keep exploring the hidden psychology behind the way we live, love, and connect. Share this with someone who might need the validation. And tell me down in the comments, what is the quietest, most beautiful lesson your cat has ever taught you? Until next time, protect your peace and give your cat a gentle scratch behind the ears for me.